Okay, welcome to Texas Chainsaw Massacre panel. We've got Teri McMinn, who played Pam, and we have Duane
Whitaker.
Yeah. And you played
Maynard.
Kid in the third one.
Yeah, I actually had a small part in Chainsaw 3, so that's my connection. I'm just here to hear the story. But yeah, I was in Leatherface, digging around in the body pit. I stole the movie. Did you get the part? You can hear us, right?
We don't need to do that, do we?
Can you all hear us?
You can hear, right? Everybody can hear.
Wait a minute, that
Loud
sounds
and
pretty cool. Nice. 1, 2.
So I was doing a play in Austin, Texas, and it was with a man named Peter Brett, and he was in a television series called The Big Valley. He'd done films and stuff like that, but The Big Valley was popular for about 3 years. And I was doing Lizzie and the Rainmaker. Oh no, that was after, sorry. I was doing a play with Gomer Pyle's Sargent. Frank Sutton. Pyle, get over here. And I was in a picture kneeling on the ground with my eyes closed. It was from a dress rehearsal, probably the worst picture I've ever taken. And the director of the theater came in one day for a rehearsal and he said, Teri, we've gotten a call from some people doing a horror film and they'd like you to come and read. So I didn't really want to do it because doing horror at that time in 1973 was like doing softcore porn, just a rung above it. It was what was known as a scab film because it was non-union, you know. So I was a serious actress and I was checked off and all that stuff. So I didn't think I should do this. And so I went and I read, and a friend of mine said, oh, Teri, just call him and tell him you want to do it. You know? So I called and I lied. I said, oh, I really want to do your film, you know. I talked to Kim, and Kim said, oh, okay, Teri, said, come over tonight and wear some short shorts. So radar, ding, 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 you know. So I put on some little short shorts, some white ones, some flowers, and my little pink top, and I rode my bicycle over. It was about, half a mile away from where I was living in Austin. And I read for the part, and they offered it to me. And 35 years later, I found out that they had read over 500 young women for this role. And I got the part. So I guess you could say I got lucky.
How did I get the part? There, now the big story.
I was tracking down a beer, for Christ's sake.
Enough about my petty life. Yeah! This is right here where I keep an eye on.
Yes. Hey, everybody.
I'm tormenting him all day.
I got the part, a friend of mine, Jeff Burr, I met. He had seen me in a play. And he had promised me a part in his next movie, which was Stepfather 2. And he lied. He didn't give me the part. And I ended up coming in doing a bunch of free ADR. So I think out of guilt, he gave me a day on it. Which he did me, as his brother said, he did you no favors on this because I was in a bloody, just a pit of mud and worms and maggots. It was horrible. I was just sitting in this thing in a toxic suit, which I couldn't breathe in. And about every 20 minutes, the AD would go, dress the pit. These guys would come over with worms and maggots and rocks. Very unpleasant. But yeah, and I was sick. I have nothing but bad memories of but it's kind of cool. It's cool to be in. It's a really tiny part of the franchise, the original. I guess it's hard to even say the original. Even that's a kind of shaky thing, but But, you know, I did one of them, which was cool. It comes up way more than I would have ever thought. Yeah.
And what
How did you
I
get
did,
to it?
I had
What's the
to
question?
How did you get into chainsaw?
Well, to make a long story short, my sister was married to the guy who wrote it. I could tell you a lot of other bullshit, but that's basically, it was nepotism, clear and simple nepotism. But,
Sometimes nepotism really works.
You were physically right.
I was, yes, I was the correct stature for the role of Grandpa, a slight old little, I was only 20 years old, so it is, I guess, an odd choice. When people ask me, you know, why would they have you play a 100-year-old man? I always go, well, there's not a lot of 100-year-old actors around, so, you know, anybody would have to slap a bunch of makeup on, so it really didn't matter. But I was an actor. It wasn't like I was just his brother-in-law. So I was doing a children's play at the time called Teri Tales at the Goodman Theater in Chicago. 2 shows a day, 6 days a week for $175. Which comes to like $12 a show, something. Dancing around in green and yellow tights, telling folk tales and singing folk songs from around the world to the children of the inner city who threw little crab apples at you that they got in the park when they were having lunch. You know, a month later, I'm getting the girl to hit with a sledgehammer. So I did on my summer vacation.
And how does it feel for you to be part of, I mean, I know you're going to be film but to be part of, you know, it's a very iconic film now, you know, like the original one, you know, it's still so good now. How does it feel to be part of all that? Start with the film.
Okay, for me, I stayed in the closet for 35 years. And I put my acting in a drawer because by the time Chainsaw became famous, I was no longer an ingenue. I was in my mid-30s. So it hadn't really worked well for me. I had to take it off my resume.
Age out of the business.
And actually, Toby, I had seen him once when I was about 32. And he said, "Oh, Teri, you're not telling them how old you are you?" He said, "Lie, goddammit, Teri, lie. You don't tell them that you're in your 30s, you know." And I was like, "What do you mean?" You know, I thought being 30 was okay, you know. And I'm, geez. But anyway, I came out finally in 2008, and I did an interview for their Blu-ray release, 20-minute interview, and went to my first convention with John and the entire cast. Even Bill Dale came out too at the very same time. And after we had finished signing for one full day, and then the next full day, and I turned around to the cast and I said, "Can we do this like every weekend?" I was
When your first convention is Monster Mania too.
Yeah. Monster Mania is a huge U.S. convention. And so it's kind of, you know, it's a spoiler.
That's why Sunday you can't ride. I mean, you actually have riders for Sunday. It's just all day long.
It never stops. Never stops. My lines were longer than Leatherface.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had yeah. I think he was really sorry I came out after that.
Go home, Teri.
Teri, you don't need to come to any
You're not welcome.
parties.
What was your favourite scene that you played yourself in which film or something?
With me?
Yeah, what was your favourite scene?
Let's see. It's really hard. I would say that probably the meat hook scene, even though it was a stupid contraption that I had to, you know, wear underneath my costume, it sort of felt like we had something. I don't know, it seemed like a powerful scene. And when it finished, everybody was stone quiet. I mean, you could hear a pin drop when we finished it. But Toby had asked me the day before we were going to shoot the scene, he said, "Well, Teri, have you thought about know, I think if Pam wasn't struck strategically, if the cook didn't go in some, or spine or whatever, I think she might try to get off the hook. So, yeah, let's go with that. And so that's what we went with, and it seemed, you know, to work. So I guess I'd like that. I mean, we've had such a horrible, rough time with me fighting a 365-pound man for my life for, you know, it seemed. And the freezer scene was fun simply because I told Toby, I said, Toby, that's the stupidest idea. And, you know, that's where the audience actually comes out of their seats and goes, wow, you know. But they had forgotten to buy the dry ice. And so they had me in this freezer that didn't work, you know. And they had a Coke bottle, and they had me smoking a cigarette to get it really smoky inside. And Toby would yell out, he'd go, is it smoky in there, Teri? Yeah, it's smoky. And then I throw the cigarette butt in the Coke bottle, and then they open the freezer, and I go, and I just, this is so stupid to everybody. And then when I saw the film, I was like, wow, that really worked.
Did you see Chainsaw 3D as a shout out to that season? Did you see Chainsaw 3D?
Yeah. That's why I
wrote
wrote
the top
him
of
stories.
Chooser. He opens the freezer, the girl's ready, he fucking kills her, and thinks like, oh shit. She was a lot.
But I wrote him stories because they got the dang timeline so off, you know, 30 years off on that timeline, and I just said, all right, I've had enough of this.
My favorite scene to see, or my favorite scene that was me, it would have to be, it's a toss-up, but I only have those two scenes, so. It would have to be the finger sucking thing. It's the only real sex in the film.
Grandpa takes care of the sex scenes.
Yeah, probably that. I guess.
Yeah. It's downright disgusting.
Didn't you
So
let
beautiful.
I saw some interview, didn't you say it was like, you said do it like it's like a kid nursing or something?
Yeah, he said, have you ever seen Miss Kim? Have you ever seen a newborn baby nurse? I said, yeah, at least the nephews and stuff. They said, you know, once the milk starts flowing, they kind of get excited and they start, you know. And I said, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Just do that. So that's what I did.
That's a great bit. I wouldn't have thought of that.
And there's something strangely erotic about having a beautiful girl tied to a chair while you suck on her fingers. And Marilyn's nipples were ever hard. And she's like right here. I don't know. I was only 20 years old. A lot of testosterone.
John was so, I thought John was like 17. I didn't know you were
I was so
20.
young for so many
You were
years.
only a year and a half younger than me.
I went to see a guy I went to school with when I first got to LA who was a directing student at the theater school. And he was an agent. He was working for an agency. And I went to see him. I knew an agent, you know. I come in, this the guy I'd known was a friend of mine. And he looks at me, he looks at my headshot and goes, you know, Dugan, Hollywood's all about types. He says, I don't know what to do with it. He says, you don't put any type. He says, you're like an old juvenile. And so he did help me out. Of course, he gave me a card to go to another photographer that he gets a kickback from.
Sure.
They all give me a card and say, try this photographer.
Yeah.
So you got 4 different photographers and give each like $300, and they get 10% of that goes back to the agency that gave you his fucking card. So I don't even know what the question was.
Well, I'll tell you, 2 of my favorite scenes in the movie are the one where we all drive up in the van and the old man comes out and says, you don't want to go to any, you know, down every time and he starts to wash the windshield. I mean, I just think that is hysterical, what Robert did in that role, you know. I thought that was funny. And then also I loved it when Pa comes in with Sally, you know, he's kidnapped Sally, get down, you know, to her. And then he gets back and he sees the door. What was your brother did to that door? You know, like that is the most important thing. What has happened to that door? You know?
I love all the scenes with Paul Partain. I thought he was just brilliant as Franklin. A little Paul. Franklin's going to be a fun trip. If I have more fun today, I don't think I'm going to be able to take it. And all that when they're fighting over the, it's a beautiful shot. It's shot just by the headlights on the van in the dark. It's kind of their silhouettes, their shadows, and they're fighting with the flashlight. I have a flashlight too. They're fighting with the flashlight. That whole scene's like, Sally, they took the keys. They took the keys. And they're fighting. Oh, and she finally gets the flashlight away from him. She starts walking up. He goes, wait, I'll go with you. 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 And they were at that point, Marilyn was so pissed off at Paul that they were really arguing. You know, the whole pushing the wheelchair through the mesquite. You know, she got stuck. He was like close to 300 pounds probably in a wheelchair, pushing it through the mesquite in the dark. And she couldn't do it. And he's like, bear down and push. Sally, bear down and push. And that was really Paul telling Marilyn, fucking bear down and push. We got to do this scene. You know, they just left all this stuff in there. It's so great.
Well, and also shooting all that at night, and the bushes around were cutting her, and you know him. I mean, can you imagine the insanity? And the guy is chasing him with a chainsaw. I mean, really, how dangerous all that was.
The other thing, I just want to add one more thing about the character of Franklin, that it really shows you a lot of what Kim Hankel is about, how his mind works. He's probably the first handicapped character to ever be written as an asshole. You know, the handicapped guy is usually the guy, you know, you feel bad with sympathy for, and when the handicapped guy gets killed, you feel just awful. You know, you feel so bad. Everybody's glad to see Franklin. Wow, finally, don't shut the fuck up.
And we really, Paul was a darling man, I understand. However, while we filmed, he stayed in character.
He never dropped Franklin.
And so, you know, it was kind of tough. People will say, well, Teri, did you like Paul Partain? I would be like, you know, I would like to have liked him. I understand that he was a kind person. But, you know, I never really met Paul. Afterward, they all started hanging out and going to conventions and doing appearances. And so they know him.
He was the first guy I met on set. The first morning I came directly from the airport to set, like 7 o'clock in the morning, and they were doing that. You guys were doing that stuff in the old house, the stone house. And he had, everybody hated him so much. I didn't have any scenes with him, so I didn't have to deal with that sort of shit. But he was sitting, he had a white, 1967 white Cadillac convertible, red interior, that he pulled up right next to where they were shooting and everything. And the truck was open. And it had fins like this long, pointed fins on it, the old 67. And it was 67. Whatever had the really long fins. Like if you were riding a bicycle behind it, you hit the brakes, you'd just impale you, you're just dead, you know. But, and the truck was open, and he was sitting in his wheelchair. He always sat in the wheelchair, but he sitting in his wheelchair. And he had slippers on that were sewed together at the toe at a weird angle, so he'd look more crippled. He was sitting there like that in his wheelchair, and he had some folding lawn chairs set up in a semi-set conversation circle around it, hoping people would sit there and they'd all have the conversations. He's all alone. It's already 95 degrees at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was just new meat, you know. He goes, Hey, come on over here, partner. Grab yourself something out of the cooler, you know. And I went over there, and there's a huge cooler filled with ice, 16-ounce bottles of Coca-Cola, and cans of Budweiser. So I grabbed a Budweiser and sat down. And that's when I became friends with Paul.
And they have pot growing in their backyard, the people that have the house.
Yeah.
Where we were filming. Well, we were all hippies, you know. I mean, every one of us, pot was really popular back then, you know. We were the peace movement and all that stuff. So we had to sit for hours and wait for clouds to pass by, wait for all of them to quit arguing and do a setup, you know. And so, yeah, we were smoking some pot. And there was, when we first arrived on the set, after we finished filming at the Hardesty house, you know, the when we were laughing about the wallpaper and all that stuff. And we had finished filming that, so we were back over at the house waiting. And at the house, the swing was still up on the porch, and we had a hammock in the yard, and there were no chairs. So for the first like 5 or 6 days, the only place we could sit was on the porch, in the swing, or we'd take turns on the hammock and the swing, trading out, you know. I think they finally got us some lawn chairs about 6 or 7 days
I
later.
think Paul brought them when he's
Maybe Paul lent us some, I'm not even sure.
Oh, my friends all bring chairs.
But, you know, we sat out in 95-degree heat, just looking, you know, just for shade all day long.
It was oppressively hot. It was terribly hot that summer.
Fortunately, I had short shorts as a costume.
Yes, you did. You certainly did. Still my beating heart.
What was the hardest part about filming this was the scenes that we showed with people, and the part about filming that you need to pull it off and
Dealing with my comfort level was really, I was really uncomfortable. All that makeup, a wool suit, 95-degree heat, and in the house, I shot in the house. The windows were closed and blacked off. There was no ventilation at all. And you got about 10,000 watts of light blasting at you. Just trying to keep up my sanity during a 30-hour long shoot day, you know, in one stretch. Trying to keep from just ripping the makeup off. So I really had to kind of go to a happy place and tell myself that this is not going to last forever. Eventually, it will be over. Just hang in there. Kind of like a bad acid trip. It's okay. You're not going to be the same the rest of your life. It'll come down after a while.
Well, I really enjoyed shooting the scenes inside the van.
Oh my God.
Those were really fun because we shot them like all day long for 4 days, and we had to have the windows rolled up because you didn't have any road noise, and you had the 5 of us, you know, including Paul, cheerful Paul, and then you had in the back of the van, you had Danyl, the cameraman, Toby, and then Wayne Bell, the sound man. So you had 8 people inside the van with the windows rolled up, and all right, let's try it again. You know, so we start shooting again. You know, they would finally open the doors, and we would fall out because it was so hot inside that van. So I enjoyed those particularly.
And what sort of things have you done since this time on the being involved in
He's got a long resume.
Yeah, I've been very lucky. I've worked from pretty consistently from like 92 on. Pulp Fiction being the big one, but I've just kind of continued to work. We've been written some stuff. I co-wrote Just a Dawn 2, co-starred in that. Written a couple movies. I've got a couple movies that are done, not very lucky not to have to do honest work. Every day, I literally, my joke is every day I get up and go into the security guard and before I went. Yeah. So I don't think I put it on since '89. I was doing a movie with a guy who was bitching and mowing. It was actually a horror thing. We were talking about, oh, the money's terrible, this is awful, and we're too good for this. And then the guy looked at me and said, you know what, though, he goes, the worst day I ever had doing this is better than the best day I ever had paving driveways. And that's kind of the bottom line. If you're lucky enough to make a living at this, you got no bitch. So it's something I bitch anyway, but I shouldn't. Very lucky.
I didn't do anything.
He went to prison.
I didn't. It's not too far from it. Ain't close. Ass.
Nice work playing.
Prison stories.
Yeah, tell us about
I didn't do anything in business for years. I spent years knocking around the food and beverage industry, tending bar, waiting tables, cooking. I sold shoes, I painted houses, I hauled freight. I can't think of all the things I've done. I started a small business for a while that kind of went away quickly. And I just about 10 years ago, somebody contacted me about doing a horror film. And so I've been doing sort of straight to video, no budget, crappy horror for the last 10 years. And working on the festival circuit, or the convention circuit. So that's not bad. It beats painting houses, sure. Absolutely.
Well, I have to laugh because about 5 years ago, I'm basically pet sitting right now, but I don't make it public, I run privately, right? But I do that, and I do these appearances. But when I first moved from LA back to Austin, and I'd been running hotels. Before that, I had a long time doing flowers, custom floral business. And I really enjoyed it, but keeping flowers alive, after about 20 years, you get tired of keeping flowers alive, You just want to change. So I started managing hotels. So when I was looking for another job, by this time I was in my early 60s. And you find out just why nobody wants to hire you when you're in your 60s on straight jobs, because you've been so bossy all this time that you'll be bossing someone younger, and you go to these job interviews and there are 25, 40 people for one job when the unemployment rate is 10%, So I was getting really depressed, and I thought, well, you know what, I'm just going to have to shave off the first 25 years of my resume.
Yeah.
So they won't know how old I am until I get in there. And so that's what I started doing. I just started trimming off my first, and I had so many occupations. I mean, literally, I can't even tell you, how many occupations I had. But it's interesting to get to a point in your life where you have to shave off 25 years to appear less qualified.
Depressing.
It could be, but that's it works out really well.
Does anybody got any questions about that?
Yes, one on John. In Texas Chainsaw 3D and the new Leatherface movie, the stories come across a lot more sympathetic. But I wonder whether you fancy the idea of going back and telling the story of the first movie again, but more from their point of view. Is that something that would appeal to you if you were asked to do it? And how do you feel about the
A movie called Grandpa. Absolutely. Grandpa, the early years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that in a fucking heartbeat. Yeah, it's the right age to do it now, you know. Yeah, I did that.
Young grandpa.
That would be really interesting to do it.
Well,
I'm sure they thought about doing that, but have not even considered using me to do it. Because that's how they roll.
That's how they roll.
The new book is delivering continuity with the.
Well, there's actually, you know, I'll tell you how they roll. I called when I saw that they were doing yet another, the Lionsgate was doing another Texas Chainsaw movie, and that it was going to be a sort of a prequel to all of them at this point. I got a hold of Carl Massacre, the executive producer, just to let him know I existed and I was available, and that there's going to be a grandpa in the script. You know, Carl, I'm your man, you know. And he said, thanks a lot, John. I'll pass that on to the casting people, which is the biggest blow off. I mean, he's the exec. He says, you should tell the casting people, I want John Dugan to play grandpa. But, so that was pretty much, you know, the chances of them ever using me to do anything are slim to none. And they'll be sorry someday. They'll be sorry.
They used my footage in 3D, and I got paid $100 more for them using my footage than I got paid in the film. So that's how life works, just so you all know.
Yeah, I can make 4 or 5 times more on a weekend signing autographs than they did on initially.
But they did tell me, Kim told me just a year or two ago, that I was really lucky that they were letting me use my images to sign pictures.
You did? You're lucky.
I was lucky. And, you know, the amount of times just that I've told people in airports that I'm Pam from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they said to me, oh, I have to go rent that now. Oh, I haven't seen that in, you know, the amount of PR that they get from me just on Pam's page. But yeah, that's what he said.
Well, he went to bat for us against New Line. When New Line owned the rights to it, they tried to get us to cease and desist using images, and Kim's the one that stepped in and said, no, leave those people alone.
Well, good. I mean, I'm glad to hear it because I didn't like hearing.
No, he did. He was going to say, leave those people alone. They made no money many years ago. Oh, you're making a fortune on them. Leave them alone. And he ultimately owns the rights to the title, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So.
Oh, does he?
He does, yeah. He kept the rights to the
He
name.
kept them, and so, but they shared the residuals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a very weird business setup. He owns the rights to the name. So, and I have artist friends that I had to get them in contact with Kim for licensing reasons. If they want, you know, people do T-shirts and stuff like that, conventions. If they want to, you know, if they want to do it legally, they got to go through Kim.
Yeah, I had a guy that was doing light boxes, and he had one of Leatherface, and he had 2 of him, one on the hook and then one of the red shorts, walking up to the house. They were great little things, but Kim gave him so many problems, you know, about doing it. And he wasn't charging that much for them. They looked great. I've got one still. But, so I guess it just varies, you know, and how it is. I'm glad to hear he stood up for us.
Any more questions?